Hey, good morning. What's up, everybody? It's Friday. I'm sitting here with my man Howard. Howard,
Morning,
we got a
morning.
lot to talk about. We want to keep it nice and loose on Friday because a lot of what we're getting ready to run down is something that shouldn't be any type of uh, debate on if you're a brother and you understand your history. Uh, you saw the clip. I saw the clip of this cat that's now with the White House that just basically came out with straight racism in prime time. And it was, we were talking other day about how the racism is becoming so blatant, just right in the face, no apologies. Well, this guy took it to a new level. What was that guy's name? I forgot what it was on,
You
but
talking
I
about Benny?
saw the clip.
You talking about Benny Johnson?
That guy,
Yeah.
yeah, the one. Yo, you break it down for the people, because when I saw that, I said, I hope people are watching this.
Let me set it up to talk about him, because what I really wanted to talk about is just, Trump has been doing this. He did it in Los Angeles, and now he's doing it in my city, in D.C. He's, sending in National Guard. He has federalized the police force. Last night, Pam Bondi appointed the guy who's the head of the DEA to be the person who's controlling the DC police. So now the chief of police in DC does not report to the mayor. She reports to this guy who's running the DEA. And they are going to be controlling not only their troops, but the local police as far as the directives they give them. What I'm really so upset about is that, this is the way he operates. Rather than just doing the offensive thing, he builds up a lie and then does the offensive thing. Now, This is all built on the supposedly that crime in DC is out of control, and that the only hope for the city to get any better is to send in federal troops and to put up checkpoints and the different things that they have done. And it's just totally outrageous. This guy, Benny Johnson, he's just one of many voices. He's a guy who is from my understanding of it, is, he calls himself some sort of media member. His salary is paid by a Russian organization. So he is he is pretty much somebody who's been placed here to muddy the waters and to spread disinformation. And what he has been proposing as of late is that total neighborhoods in DC should be bulldozed and built over. Now, we know what neighborhoods he's talking about, because he talks about them in these crime-ridden terms. It's just been an American trope, an American thing to lie, to naturally assume that any crime-ridden area is one full of black people. What he's talking about is bulldozing neighborhoods, displacing people, basically moving all of the people, the people that he describes as criminals, but then goes on to describe pretty much in animalistic terms, as if he talks about infestation and things like that, as if you're going to clear out this vermin so that good, civilized, white MAGA folks can come into town. That's pretty much what he's talking about.
Because we as Americans deserve a capital city that is beautiful and safe, and that projects the power and the values of Western civilization. We do not deserve the crime-addled, narco welfare hellscape that DC has become.
I guess what I'm so frustrated about is that we're seeing all of this. We're seeing it right up in our face. We got people breaking it down. We got more people. We got more white people alarming, sounding the alarm on all of this than brothers are. I never heard anything like this ever, except for when they referred to everything that was happening in Germany during Hitler's time.
Right.
Because what he's, like you said, the infestation. Everything is a lie, though. Talking about when he said that they all the black people came up to DC for the civil rights movement, and then when it happened, they didn't leave.
What happened to DC, especially during the civil rights period, was that protesters that were bussed up here stayed here. The city was burned to the ground. This happened during massive riots throughout the 60s and 70s. Mass swaths of the city were torched and were never really rebuilt.
Yeah.
They burned the city down. It was just lies after lies after lies. And the things that they're talking about with trying to put the head of the DEA in charge of the police department. I'm glad they're resisting it. But once again, Bowser, she comes off a little weak. But this is a situation where I told my family, we're not going downtown DC. We're not doing that unless somebody's got to go there during the day on business or whatever, because they're just itching for one little situation that they can use to make it seem as if it's real bad, because they're in the prime areas. They're set up around Penn Quarter. They had a checkpoint right there on 14th Street the other night, and they're trying to instigate something that's not there. And they're trying to go from blue city to blue city to blue city to Black Mirror to Black Mirror to Black Mirror.
They are doing it in this city. In my assessment, they've chosen this city first to do that because they have the ability to do it, because DC's not a state. It's a federal territory, and they have jurisdiction here if necessary. It's all, if you get, I don't know if people who are watching this who don't live here aren't familiar with DC, but if you get arrested in DC, your case is going to be the United States versus you, because it's not. There are no counties here. There's no state here. This is the federal government here, which is, we can get into representation, taxation without representation. That's a subject for another show. But they're doing it because they can more easily do it here, because they don't have to deal with governors or deal with county sheriffs or anything like that here. They can do that here. What disturbs me, though, is that they're using language, and actually they're not showing imagery. They're conjuring imagery of times in the past.
Yeah.
When, oh, by the way, we didn't need to do any of this stuff to stop it. Okay. I pulled up on some numbers because just to give people an idea of just how egregious these lies are, how ridiculous it is.
Mm-hmm.
In 1995, okay, in the mid 90s, that's when DC was known as the murder capital of the world. That's when the crack epidemic was at a high, and DC was bad. Although, I mean, I knew a number of brothers who are participating in that statistic, but it was serious. Even then, though, NDC was more of what had become known earlier decades as Chocolate City. DC had a higher black population of citizenry. All right, there were 400 homicides in 1995. Okay, you know how many homicides there are in DC? As of today, there are 101. So at that rate, that's half the amount that was at 1995. Now, I'm not condoning a single murder or homicide. I don't want to get this misconstrued. I'm not saying, oh, little murder's okay. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that Trump is out there saying that crime in DC is out of control and it's worse than it has ever been. And that is not the case.
It's a straight up lie, but they keep pushing, and they keep pushing that narrative over and over again. They're not letting off of it. And for me, this should be a real big wake up call for everybody. It shouldn't be any more going back and forth about, both parties. Right now, we have just one party that's allowing all of this to happen. And so I don't want to hear any more history lessons from brothers. I don't want to hear anything out of context when we're talking about this right here. Like you said, with this being DC, being a district, it does make it so that they can test what they can do right here, right now. And like I said, they're talking about going to Baltimore,
right,
Philly,
right,
New York, all these blue cities. and also where you got the black mayors as well. So I'm at the point now where these type of things, just the blatant racism, and brothers want to just keep making excuses to not vote, to not talk about what is happening now. I'm tired of brothers going back in history saying, coded shit. You saw some of the things that I sent you the other day with brothers talking. I'm talking about I'm talking about the takeover of DC, and saying, just being rhetorical about, hey, look, I never seen this happen with Bush, Obama, Biden. We haven't seen it like this in terms of federalizing DC and bringing in the troops. And somebody want to start talking about where they're the same internationally, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, what the fuck does that have to do with what's going on right now?
I agree with you.
I don't understand this. And this is the thing that we have to keep fighting. Every time you point out something that's racist, this right here with this guy, Dollar Moore, he broke it down. A bunch of other people broke it down as well.
And so what President Trump is doing is reasserting control of not only our nation's capital, but truly the seat of Western civilization.
It's just white supremacy right in your face. And then you got brothers who continue to listen to people like Farrakhan. What is Farrakhan saying right now about this? He doesn't see what's happening. He doesn't see how this is a danger to black folks in DC, people who are in the DMV. I don't hear him say anything about this at all, but brothers will follow him. They will listen to him on nonsense and not even realizing that the guy has endorsed the occupant. We can go down a list, but how much has to happen for these brothers to show some humility and realize that, hey, first, we got to put our fight in terms of priorities. We first need to be able to get people in there so that our vote can actually build power. But a lot of things with all this happening, and I got brothers making excuses. I got brothers don't want to admit that, okay, maybe they're wrong. I got brothers realizing that, hey, this is affecting us directly now. For me, I don't understand it, but I'm tired of these Negroes with these excuses and these changing the subjects and deflections, because if they're really serious about our progression, then they would acknowledge what's going on and bring us together and say, okay, look, let's handle the enemy that's at the gate right now.
What I've tried to say to some of these brothers, and I haven't, I'll be honest with you, I've avoided many of them just because I'm just tired of the ignorance. But, when I'd like to point out to them that this isn't like, we're not talking about hypotheticals anymore.
Right.
Right. We are here. And oh, by the way, if your eyes are open, if you're looking around, this authoritarianism is not just directed at black folks. They are using black folks to scapegoat it and to bring some of it along. But everyone is suffering from this thing. And if you want to,
it's strictly about white males.
Right.
It's all about white males and that whole old school agenda.
Right.
Yep.
And so and I don't know what to say. You're saying, what can we do if they can't snap to that reality, then I don't know what to do.
And that scares me. And that really scares me. It does.
I don't know what to do.
I've talked to brothers before, and I talk about the civil rights. I've had brothers say to me, well, they weren't fighting for my rights. I've had brothers say this shit to me. They weren't fighting for my rights. I had brothers say that, hey, look, we need to do stuff for ourselves. We don't need to depend on the government when the government is cutting programs out that would allow us to be able to grow. I hear all these kind of excuses. And I'm sitting there saying, okay, you got all these excuses. You talk about the Dems started, the crime bill, all this shit. What is your solution? Every time you ask these Negroes that, you ask, okay, all right, I'm hearing you then. Yeah, I understand the history. They'll break down all this shit. But then you say, okay, well, then what's your solution?
They don't have one. And I don't know what it is. I know why I feel the way I do about this. And a big reason is because I have I'm older. I have my father and mother grew up during segregation. I was born in 1963, so that puts me right before the civil rights, laws were passed. So I've had a little bit of exposure to it. And if I didn't have direct exposure to it, I got a whole lot of stories from my relatives about the stuff they had to deal with. What I don't think some of these brothers understand is that is a reality. When you're watching movies or reading books or whatever, I don't think they read, so I'm going to say not reading books. But when you watch like Mississippi Burning, that is not fiction. This is not this is history. This happened.
Right.
And it happened during our lifetime. This is what I get mad about when I talk to some of my white friends who want to pretend like this is like we're so far away from those types of things. I'm like, look, my parents couldn't be in the same room with your parents. What are we talking about?
Right.
What are we talking about?
Right.
I wouldn't have had the right to vote had I been old enough to. So, I mean, it's like, my goodness, you all have to like wake up that this is something that we are not that far away from it. Things go in cycles.
Yep,
they seem to think, oh, well, we don't need them to, we don't need to be dependent on the white man and the government. Well, guess what? You need the government to protect your rights.
Exactly.
You need that.
Exactly.
I met this libertarian. I was at a show. I don't know if I've told the story before, but I was at a show back in, it was during when Obama was running the first time. I remember exactly what it was. And it was in Baltimore. And it was at a jazz concert. We were at these tables, and it was like you sat at the table. It was like there were no, seats, assigned seats. You just got in there and you sat down at the table. It was nice. I don't even remember the venue, but it was a nice venue. I was sitting next to a guy who had traveled down from Delaware. He's a libertarian. And he was telling me all the reasons libertarianism was good and all this stuff. And he asked me what I thought about it. And I said, if the world was the way you described and there were no laws, I can't be at this table with you. The only reason I can be at this table is because they passed a law that said they have to let me in this motherfucker. That's why.
Right.
So what these brothers do not understand that we are a nation of laws, and that's the only thing that's keeping us above ground. That's keeping us.
And that's what it's all about. It's about making sure that laws stay in place that continue to protect us. And right now, the party that is looking to take those protections away from us, that's the enemy at the gate right now.
That's the enemy at the gate.
So when these Negroes want to say, well, what if the Dems done? Motherfucker, right now, the Dems are trying to protect your rights.
Yeah.
That's what they're not understanding.
No.
And if we had control of the House and we had control of the Senate, all that shit this guy is doing wouldn't be happening.
Absolutely.
All of it wouldn't be happening. So when these brothers give these dissertations that make no sense and they're just trying to sound smart and they're just blowing, I'm like, motherfucker, let's look at what's happening now. I want to know all that stuff and crap that you just said. How does that help us right now? And I don't want to be in arguments with brothers who are about saying we should be together, but yet they're only that way when they're the ones that seems to be leading. It's like they want to be in charge. They want to be seen. Look, I don't give it. If you want to do that, that's fine, man. But don't push me off. Don't brush me off when we're both supposed to be fighting for the same goal. And I get that with these brothers.
Yeah, I know you do.
Look, this guy just said he wants to go through the Smithsonian and make sure these exhibits are ideologically in line with the occupant.
Absolutely.
He's trying to erase our history.
This is a piece that was in the Washington Post. The White House will launch a sweeping review of Smithsonian exhibitions, collections, and operations ahead of America's 250th birthday celebrations next year. The first time the Trump administration has detailed steps to scrutinize the institution, which officials say should reflect the president's call to restore, quote, truth and sanity to American history. The vetting process would include reviewing public-facing and online content, curatorial processes and guidelines, exhibition planning and collection use, according to a letter sent to Smithsonian Secretary Lonnie G. Bunch III on Tuesday. Now, a White House official confirmed the plan, which was posted on the White House website. And this is what the Smithsonian said. The Smithsonian's work is grounded in a deep commitment to scholarly excellence, rigorous research, and the accurate factual presentation of history. We are reviewing the letter with this commitment in mind and will continue to collaborate constructively with the White House, Congress, and our governing board of regents. Let's just be as clear as possible. Randy, they're going to rig the research. They're going to strip. You can forget any real talk about slavery, Jim Crow, or any of that stuff, Randy. It ain't going to happen because these white folks don't want that. They want this to be a whitewashed history of America and a celebration. They do not want to deal with the inequities and the racism that black people, Latinos, Asian Americans, and others have faced in this country. They only want his story being presented.
That's exactly because when I told this one guy, and I know I try to break it down because, when you're communicating with people, it's not a matter of necessarily intelligence or something. Sometimes you got to find different ways to make your point. Whether it's a story.
You want to try to meet them there.
Okay. So this is this is my latest try.
Right.
Thank goodness there's a show on, and these people might watch it. I think it's pretty good. So far, just started Alien Earth. I don't know if you checked it out. It's on
I haven't
FX.
checked it out.
I don't know if you're in, check out Alien movies or whatever. Right. It's in the Alien universe, like the movie Alien. But anyway, it's a look at the future. Takes place about 100 years in the future. But at that point, there are no countries. Corporations run the world, which I think they're moving toward. See, what Donald Trump and those like him, Elon Musk, that Vladimir Putin, all of them would prefer. They would prefer to have large corporations with their own military, and that can control whatever lands they are big and bad enough to control, or they can negotiate with someone else, and they don't care about anything else. There's no such thing as a free society anymore because they have enough corporate might, enough resources to dictate things. Yeah. And that's what and rather than what was the American dream? The American dream was you could come here, work hard, find a niche, and you could make your own money. But what they want to do is, and I try to think about it as a corporation. Think about it, if you're going to go work, when you go get a job at Walmart, you may work yourself up the ladder, but you're not going to Walmart saying, you know what, I'm going to take this little corner over here and I'm going to set up Howard's shop in Walmart. I'm going to make my own little thing. They're like, no, dude, you're out of here.
No, you're Walmart, baby.
You're out of here. And that's that's what they're trying to do here. That's what the whole thing. And so I'm trying to use that one, but they don't understand, like you said, that the Democrats are trying to help you keep on to whatever rights you have so that you can do all this, building of generational wealth. That's the thing I get, from those brothers. You start talking about the generational wealth and blah, blah, blah. Well, guess what? If you don't have laws that protect your business, the laws that protect your personal sovereignty, you're out, you're ass out.
Yeah, that whole thing about, generational wealth. Okay, well, they're starting to cut all these particular contracts out for brothers to get that. I mean, then you're looking at government jobs being knocked out because of all these DEI initiatives. Right. So you want to build generational wealth, but one of the doors to that, in fact, several other doors to that are being removed by the occupant because he doesn't give a damn about us. No. They don't want us to keep making this money.
No.
And so when I point this out to a brother, it's like they'll jump to another subject that you can just prove them wrong. Well, what about in terms of businesses and all that and locally? I said, well, Obama provided a lot in terms of what he wanted to do with businesses. He gave money to open up doors for you guys in business. But you don't want to talk about that. You know, you want to talk about and follow what these white folks say about Chicago. You guys want to say, well, he didn't do anything for Chicago. Well, I'm gonna go back to Farrakhan again. What did Farrakhan do for Chicago? Right. You know, what Obama could do was put federal laws in place that could benefit local laws that were already there. But you can't, brothers, I don't know what it is. You talk about brainwashing. You, like you said, civil rights. I'd never forget going into my senior year in high school, Chapel Hill, 1987. You got the Klan walking down Franklin Street. You got the Klan walking down Franklin Street. I saw that shit. I said, I'll be damned if I'm staying in this state to go to school.
See, because what really frustrates me in this era we're in is that people don't, for whatever reason, enough of them don't believe their own eyes. They allow someone. It's just like the January 6th thing. We all saw what happened, but let's get back to DC. Okay.
Yeah.
DC, where they had those checkpoints and all that kind of stuff. Check out those people. Like, I know you said brothers aren't like white people seem to be more upset in DC than the brothers seem to be doing it. Well, one reason is, I'm gonna tell you, at least the brothers, at least the older brothers in DC, they know a lot better that when the police are out hunting, not good time to go out there and start yelling. You know what I'm saying?
That's true. Yeah.
But look at the people protesting. Most of them are white. When they were talking about leave our streets, most of them are white, which I'm happy to see. But the other thing I want, it's against this narrative. See, that's what the most ironic and frustrating thing about this is, that DC is, in my lifetime, for the most part, maybe there was a year somewhere, not only is DC pretty much safer than it's ever been in my lifetime, going against the Donald Trump's Stephen Miller narrative, DC is whiter than it's ever been in my lifetime. It is just like, what is this guy talking about? What is he talking? He's lying in order to do the same thing he did in Los Angeles. And I can feel for now those people in Los Angeles, because even though we had that conversation on this podcast about how they were on Fox News making it seem like there was a riot going on when there really wasn't a riot going on, you could see that if you didn't have that critical thinking going, you could believe that there was something worse going on in Los Angeles than actually was happening. And so that's what really upsets me now about this, because if you're not from here, if you're not from the DMV or come here often, then why wouldn't you believe, and you're somebody who was inclined to give Trump the benefit of the doubt. And unfortunately, there are enough of those people still. Too many of them.
Too many of them.
There's no reason to not believe it. And that's what really bothers me. I'm just like, this is crazy. This guy, I mean, I sell houses for a living. I go all over the place. And, I just recently had to show some property in what is thought of as being a terrible neighborhood, Anacostia. Now, is Anacostia the best neighborhood in the world? No. But I'm telling you, it's light years what it was in 1995.
Right.
And, it's just ridiculous for him to be doing this. And this is the narrative. If they're allowed to set this template, they're going to go to city to city. It's going to be harder to do now because governors are going to get involved and, counties and all that kind of stuff. But, we have to make sure that as best we can, that this lie is aired, that the truth can be seen, that this is not what they say it is. And like you said, you can't necessarily do it all with statistics, because we all know statistics can be manipulated, even within, but let's just use our eyes. Use
our eyes, use common sense. And if we look at history, if we know the struggle of our people, we know that what we're seeing ain't good. We know that it ain't good.
No.
So this whole shit about both parties and all that right now, let's stop it. Just look at what's happening in front of us. Now, let's look at what's happening in front of us. Let's look at who is enabling it, and let's look at who's enabling it but let's also look at those who are fighting it. Let's get on the side with those who are fighting it. And then all that other crap you want to talk about, let's talk about that in a couple of years. But right now, let's get on the side of democracy. But anyway, we're going to leave with that today. That's going to be our chat for today, everybody. Next week, we're going to definitely be talking about another weekend of football. We got the WNBA playoffs coming up. And got to be talking about what's going to happen in college football as well. But anyway, everybody, this is my man Howard. I'm Couch. We're out.
Take care.
Talk to you soon. Peace.
Fleet DJS.
Yo, this is DJ Pink Diamond. I'm out here at the 14th Annual Music Conference with the Fleet DJs. Right now, we got one of the hottest DJs in the East Coast, DJ Willie Bangs. What's happening, dude?
How you doing, sis? How you feeling today, Pink?
Good, good. How you liking the conference so far?
Oh, man, I'm having an amazing time. It's unbelievable, like every year.
Oh, yeah? So you've been busy this year.
Very.
Tell us a little bit about that, and then we're going to let Carrie bring in some more questions for you.
Okay, cool. So this year has been a big year for me. I dropped the collaboration album project with DJ Manny Faces. Shout out to my brother DJ Manny Faces. The album is called Nap York City. It's streaming right now on all digital streaming platforms. It's 5 tracks from his part of the town, which is out in the Midwest. And I'm in New York City, so we bridged the 2 coasts. First time ever seen. It's a collaboration to me. First time ever seen in Fleet, to combine 2 different coasts and do it by way of a compilation album and releasing on digital streaming platforms. So that's one of the biggest things I got going on this particular year. And I'm also getting into the promoter field. I'm doing my own events in New York City. The next event is August 24th of 2025. It's the DJ Willie Bangs Birthday Bash / Indie Artist Summer Showdown Part 2.
Oh,
yeah.
You heard that, Carrie, right?
Right on, I heard it. This is Kerry Lewis representing Texas Fleet DJs at the 14th Annual Fleet DJs Music Conference. We got my man DJ Willie Bangs with us, man. So tell us about the Fleet DJs Music Conference and how you feeling, man, about the conference.
Man, I can't stress enough how important it is for artists. If you are a model or a podcaster, a blogger, whatever you got going on, you need to associate yourself with the Fleet DJs. This conference right here is a one-stop shop. It's everything. It's the biggest networking event of the year, if you ask me. This is the second time I came to the conference, or I've been at a Fleet DJs conference, and it's explosive. You just never know. The opportunities here are endless. You know what I mean? So this is where you got to be. Every time you hear this conference being promoted, if you're an artist, industry tastemaker, a blogger, a model, a DJ, whatever you have going on, make sure that you make it here.
DJ Willie Bangs, tell us how to follow you. Give us your social medias and what you got going on, man.
So my social media is very simple. It's at DJ_Willie Bangs on all social platforms. We're talking IG, we're talking Threads, we're talking TikTok. On Facebook, I'm William Ubelez. I have no problem saying that. Follow me on all social media platforms. I do follow back, and I love to interact with the public. I love to interact with the people, anybody that follows my page. You know what I'm saying? So follow me so I can follow you back at DJ_Willie Bangs.
All right, you heard it here from DJ Willie Bangs, one of the Fleet DJs on at the 14th Annual Fleet DJ Music Conference. This is Pink Diamond, Kerry Lewis, DJ Willie Bangs.
Thank you so much, Willie Bangs. Good luck to you for the rest of the year.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
All right.
Thank you, Kerry.
All right, thank you.
Indeed.
Fleet DJs.
You notice how the occupant is always projecting. He says that Biden did this, Biden did that. But when it comes down to it, he's the one that actually did this or did that. It's constant deflection. And when you look at the bogus claims of voter fraud in 2020, that now can be considered projection as well. He had over 60 cases and all were dismissed because of lack of evidence. They never could show any. And those who supported the lie have been sued for defamation, and they had to come up with a bag of money. It was just nonsense. So when you look at where we are now, we have to be careful when we accuse the occupant of something he accused someone else of. So when we talk about voter fraud, we can't claim that there was voter fraud without any smidgen of proof. But Nathan Taylor of the Election Truth Alliance and Lulu Frystad of Smart Elections, I want you to Google those two people. I need you to check them out because both are credible and the organizations are extremely credible, and they focus on making sure our elections are secure and accurate and are publicly verifiable. So I want you to peep what this brother has to say right here.
These are facts I'm about to tell you. These are the real numbers of the presidential and the Senate race in Rockland, New York. Check this out right here, y'all. Check this out. In District 35, Gillibrand, she's a Democrat, she got 331 votes in District 35, and the Republicans got 82 votes. This is a Democratic district. 4 write-ins, total of 417 votes. Then, in the same district, Kamala Harris got 0 votes. 0. And Donald Trump got 552 votes with 2 write-ins, equaling 554 votes. Donald Trump got more votes than the Democrats, Senator, Republicans, and Kamala Harris in a Democratic district. So here's some more numbers. This is crazy, y'all. Y'all tell me they ain't take this? This is crazy. In District 58, I mean, this in all the districts, but these are the ones I want to point out. In District 58, Gillibrand got 544 votes, which is a Democrat. The Republican challenger got 34 votes, total of 578 votes. In the same damn district, Kamala Harris got 1 vote, and Donald Trump got 588 votes. I've been covering politics for 20 years. I have never in my life seen nothing like this. Never in my life.
Now, this just came out this past week because Lulu of Smart Elections and her associates filed a lawsuit in Rockland County, New York. They stated that it must be investigated. These numbers are just crazy, and it has to be investigated further. In the suit that they have to make sure that this is done, it has to proceed. And guess what? Unlike the occupant, this lawsuit has more than enough information and data to proceed.
In Rockland County in particular, there is more than just statistical evidence that the results are unusual or unlikely. There is actually physical evidence. And that is because the candidate in the Senate race, Diane Sayre, she ran against, as an independent against the Democrat and Republican for the U.S. Senate. And she was really concerned when her results came back. They seemed exceptionally low to her. No one expects an independent candidate to win. Usually they're not expecting a majority of the votes, but she thought, this is very low. I think I did better than this. And she literally just went down her block and found more people who voted for her in her district than the Rockland County Board of Elections had published in their certified results. And then she went to another district, and she found the same thing. More votes for her. These are people who are swearing under oath that they voted for her. So this is very serious. And in general, in these districts that she checked, she was finding about almost 50% more people saying that they voted for her than was reported in the official results. We're basically comparing the difference between the presidential race and the down ballot race for the same party. If you go in and you vote for the president in one party, often you're going to vote for the senator or the Congress people for the same party. People are fairly loyal. And what we found there was a huge, huge irregularity. These are big numbers in the sense that the difference between the 2020 results and the 2024 results came back statistically significant. And I'm going to give you a p-value. Most people don't understand p-values. P-value is a probability value. That means the likelihood. You're really measuring the likelihood. And the lower the number, the less likely that these results are expected. And the p-value in these 4 towns, when we compared 2020 to 2024, the p-value was 0. That's 0. That's unheard of. That means
it's really improbable that this
very
is
unlikely. Very unlikely that these results are organic, natural results.
But wait, there's more.
The 0% is the next down ballot candidate. So in this case, I believe this is senators. So 0% is how many votes that party's senator or whatnot got. So we see in the swing states, Harris got negative 1.48% less votes than the senator across and on average across all 7 swing states. And then Trump got almost 6% more than that senator or that next down ballot candidate. And then outside the swing states, all the other states, we're seeing it look more normal and matching past election trends where you're somewhere between 1 to 2% over the Senate, over the senator or the governor or whatever other races there are.
Wait a minute. How in the hell do you see a plus percentage in non-swing states, but then you see this big negative as if outside of the 7 battleground states, it was like, yay, we're cool with Harris, but those specific 7 battleground states were like, yeah, we ain't down with her.
I think you highlighted exactly the concern. Why would just the swing states exhibit a pattern? And so that's a huge red flag because what wins you elections? It's the swing states. And so I actually did the numbers for how Harris compared to Biden from the 2024 election, how many votes she got across all 7 swing states versus what Biden got in 2020. And we find that in 24, Harris exceeded Biden in Wisconsin, North Carolina, and Georgia. I believe those numbers are up to date. The theory that she's unpopular and that's why she would be underperforming doesn't add up. And that's that she got 99.6% of all the votes cast in 2020, the Democratic votes that turned up in 2020 for those 7 swing states. She got 99.6% of them in 24. So it doesn't make sense that she would be underperforming by a large amount in these states, but then get 99.6% of the same votes.
I'm not a conspiracy theorist. And when I'm very skeptical when people throw it. I've heard people say, hey, wait a minute. People were using Starlink to transmit the data, the voting data from precincts to the state elections board. And that Starlink, of course, owned by Elon Musk. Of course, Joe Rogan made this famous phrase that Elon Musk created this app that an hour after the polls closed showed, oh, Trump is going to win. I'm going to sleep. And he was like, man, how did he know? And then, of course, Trump leading up to the election was like, hey, don't worry about it. We don't need your votes. We got this. So people are pointing to those things as evidence that something was amiss.
All right. So let's take a step back and look at what we got. So we got the independent candidate going down her block and finding out that more people voted for her than reported. And we got some of the vote tabulation discrepancies already for my man. And we see a huge difference in voter percentages in the swing states. But we also know that Nathan Taylor once again, look him up, people, of the Election Truth Alliance was talking about similar numbers in Clark County, Nevada. And this was a few months back.
So let's look at the top first, and x-axis is how many votes the machine counted. Each of these is a different machine. Some machines only counted a handful of votes. Some counted 800 plus. And so the y-axis is the percentage of votes. So the higher up you go, the closer, the further up and the closer you get to 100%, you win more votes. And so what we saw when we pulled this data and we did this analysis, in 2020, up until about 450 to 500 votes counted by machine or cast at the machines, it looks normal.
A lot of red above 55%.
Right. We see separation.
Okay.
And so what's interesting is if you kind of break this down into the correlation or the trend, as more votes were cast at higher populations, the Republican Party benefited. And so what was weird about this is counterintuitive to how voting patterns normally are. Well, one, you don't generally see a trend as more votes are cast. You just see a better reflection of how people, generally feel.
Okay.
And the problem is Democrats generally benefit at high populations because they live in high populated areas. So this makes very little sense for either of those reasons.
Wow.
So if you use the same concept, we see about from 250 to 300 onwards that normal distribution just disappears, right? And you see you see aggressive separation.
Right. So this is normal right here. As you say, this is normal.
The first part is.
This is normal. Then all of a sudden you see these gaps.
Yes. And so you're not supposed to see separation like this. And when we pull out the distribution, instead of this matching a normal distribution like you would expect to see, it shows potential manipulation. And what's concerning is if we look at the top one, there's a concept here where if you want to win an election, or in this case, for voting data and distribution, the further right a majority of your votes are, after the 50% mark, you win. That's how you win in this case. And so what we're seeing, specifically in early voting, because it's so aggressive, we're seeing that a portion of the distribution is missing. And so this suggests, since in this case, this is candidate Trump, it suggests that his distribution shows that he's benefiting from potential manipulation. That votes, if you look at the bottom, Harris is missing a portion of hers, and since she's at a lower percentage, we see that skew. And so the way this could indicate is it has a rightward skew, and Trump has a leftward skew. And a leftward skew, or another term, is a Russian tail. And so a Russian tail is a term coined by Russian data scientists and data analysts in reference to a few different potentially manipulated Russian elections.
Look, unlike the occupant and the crew of whack job lawyers that he had, this right here is solid information to move forward. And I mean, really, to move forward with the full investigation. The lawsuit is allowed to proceed, and they have until September 22nd, where they are expected to present their findings from discovery.
But this is the big one right here, y'all. These are Democratic districts. This is the big one right here. In District 55, Gillibrand got 909 votes, and the Republican challenger got 42 votes, equal 951 votes total in that district. In the same District 55, Kamala Harris got 2 votes. 2 votes. And guess how many Donald Trump got in the same district? 986 votes in the Democratic district. So you telling me all these people voted for a Democrat for senator, and she could barely get 3 total votes out of all these blue counties, and y'all wondering was something fishy.
Look, I'm with the brother on this. And if anything was worth putting some money behind, do it with these groups. The more resources they have, the quicker they can move us towards the ability to exhale. Anyway, look all that up. Fact check me, please. And I'll talk to you soon. Couch out.
Fleet DJS.
This is Kerry Lewis out here at the 14th Annual Fleet DJs Music Conference in Atlanta, Georgia. And we got with us the real Schizo, man. How you doing today, man?
Doing good, man. Yourself?
Everything is good, man. So, who invited you out here to the Fleet DJs Music Conference, man?
Okay, just keep worrying about me.
Who invited you out here to the Fleet DJs Music Conference?
OG Cocaine.
Okay, the one and only Cocaine. So, how did you and Cocaine leak up?
Man, when I was working on the track, Well Connected, reached out to him, got him on the track, and the rest is history. I'm under his wing, he put me under his wing. And
so how long have you been doing music?
Been doing music since I was 16, 38, so.
What's your motivation to keep doing music and to keep pushing?
Man, the culture, man. Culture, trying to bring that sound back, man. That's what keeps me going, man.
And when you say culture and sound, explain what you mean by the culture and the sound.
The 90s vibe, the early 2000s sound, the vibe, man. Just good positive vibes, and
okay.
Trying to bring that back, man.
What do you look forward to taking in here at the 14th Annual Fleet DJs Music Conference?
Man, just look forward to having a great time, man. Linking with other DJs and connecting and building, man.
You have some upcoming projects coming out?
Yeah, I got a Silent Vine 1 coming out. By the way, I got a single out right now, Well Connected, featuring Cocaine and Eastsiders. It's out right now on all platforms. But the Silent Vine 1, it drops September. You know what I'm saying? I got a lot of people on there. It's a good album, man.
All right. Tell us how to follow you, if you have social medias, if you have websites, how we can get in touch with the real Schizo.
Well, right now I only got IG. You can hit me on IG, The Real Schizo, TheRealSkitso, all together.
Forgot to ask you before we get out of here, where are you from? I forgot to ask, where you from?
I'm from upstate, Buffalo, New York.
Okay, Buffalo, New York is in the house.
Shout out to Buffalo, man.
Right on, man. So once again, this is The Real Schizo. This is Kerry Lewis, 14th Annual Fleet DJs Music Conference in Atlanta, Georgia. Meet us here.
Fleet DJS.